Assalamu alaikum. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about buggies. Um, all across America, there are several different types of buggies. This buggy here is a gray buggy from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Um, I guess I'm kind of into buggies like some people are into classic cars. I just think they're neat, and I've kind of memorized the different buggies and colors and from which community they've come from. This buggy here is from New Wilmington, Pennsylvania group. They drive that brown buggy. It was said that the brown color was came about because when the Amish in that area started putting tops on their buggies, they were using some leftover material from circus tents, is one story I heard. So that was just available material that was at that time, and they just have retained that brown color to this day. So any buggies you see like this, they all originated from the New Wilmington community, maybe a sister group or something of that. There's also some in New York. Each community kind of has their own standards on the buggies. These buggies here are very plain. They have a low dash, no windshield, one headlight on the driver's side or on the passenger side. Just very plain, not many amenities. That shows you that they're more of a conservative order. The more liberal orders have sliding doors and windshields, etc. But each buggy style kind of has a history, and I just think that's kind of neat to know the history of the different styles and how they came up with that style. There's also in Pennsylvania, there's several different colors. There's the yellow, the white, the black, and the gray, and the brown. So why all the different colors? Basically the Pennsylvania vehicles went through a series of changes. The earliest record in 1860 described the Lancaster vehicles as being covered in yellow oilcloth. And then a deacon by the name of Benjamin Hoover of the Old Order Mennonites stated that Amish vehicles in his boyhood were about half yellow and half gray. Then in 1911, a writer states that the yellow oilcloth has disappeared and a lead color has taken its place. And any style of wagon is orthodox. A careful observer has said that they noticed that in Amish church service that there were scarcely any two vehicles alike. So this is around 1911. So basically the main body of old orders continued using the gray buggy, and some of the other conservative breakaway groups retained other colors which had been popular at previous times. The Byler Amish drive the yellow. And the Reno Amish drive the black vehicles. And the Nebraska drive the white. But one thing they all have in common is the very straight, boxy sides. And that is how you can identify a Pennsylvania vehicle, by the very straight sides with no angles. So it is said that the style, this kind of box-like style, is said to originate from probably several different types. One of the most oldest styles, known as the Dearborn wagon, which was originated in the early century, resembles these other vehicles which are similar to this style as the depot wagon and the carryall. So these old abandoned American style buggies is where they got that style from, and that's how that Pennsylvania style came about. Next we come to my favorite, which is Ohio style buggy. That's the black buggy with the angled sides. I heard one time that the Lancaster gray buggies are like the most common style buggies that you see on the media, but in my opinion, it's actually this style here, the Ohio style buggy, that is the most commonly seen, and it's my favorite style. I just love the style. I think it looks really nice, very crisp, and that's the style that we use here. And so according to Plain Buggies by Stephen Scott, he says in there that it was around the early 1900s that the Ohio Amish started putting tops on their vehicles, and before then they just drove open vehicles. But right around the early 1900s, it became popular to put tops on your vehicles. And after the car, became a thing, they became a little more comfortable with putting tops on their vehicles. And they think that the Ohio style originated from the popular American buggy called the Jenny Lind. So that was a very popular buggy in the late 1800s, and they think that's actually where they came up with the design on the Ohio style buggy, since there's a lot of similarities between the two vehicles. The original Ohio style buggy looked just like this one here, driven by Schwarzentuber Amish and also by Trayer Amish. That's the original style they had there. And very plain, with no rear view window or any rear view windows or side view windows. No rear view windows, no side view windows, and just roll up curtains, just very basic. And then as time went on, they started adding more and more amenities to them, side view, rear view windows and mirrors, and they added the wider dash, and eventually they put sliding doors, etc. So just only the Schwarzentuber have remained original. So here is a picture of the Jenny Lind. That is what the Jenny Lind buggy looked like, and that was a very popular American style top buggy. And so this is what the Ohio style probably came from. And as you see how the seat doesn't quite touch the back curtain, there's a gap in between. That's still a feature of the Ohio style buggy to this day, and that's unique from most other buggies. The back seat always is up against the curtain, but in the Ohio style there's always a gap there between the back seat and the curtain. Right around the late 1930s, a trend was set by two sons of an Amish bishop. At that time, they began using a top buggy, which was something that the young people did not only drove open buggies at that time. So these two sons of this Amish bishop in Holmes County, they set a trend by using top buggies, and they made the dash wide at that time. That's they came up with the idea to make the dash go all the way across the front and to make it sit up higher. So within 10 years, around early 1940s, um, uh, the wide dash was standard. And of course, the more conservative groups, the Schwarzenegger Amish, the Troyer Amish, and some of the more conservative old orders um, took a staunch stand against that. And so that's when the split began. And the conservative Amish said, no, it's too fancy, too much. And they are the ones who still drive um, the simpler buggies with the narrow dash and without the windshield. So this is just a little tour of inside a New Order Amish style buggy. I think they're pretty neat. I love the different features that they got. The light switches. That's your toggle switch there. They've got LED headlights. This belongs to a friend of mine who's with the New Order group down south. I don't really like the interior color. It's kind of an odd color, but it's neat. Neat looking buggy. It's got a lot of neat features to it. Brand new, a buggy like this is going for about $10,000 right now. And they are extremely expensive. I kind of think that is a downside to the buggy. By adding all those features, you really raise the price up, and now they're starting to make them out of fiberglass, and the price is just going up and up and up till you might as well just have a car if you're going to buy one of them new. Isn't that neat how that window just drops down like that? So in contrast, this is my buggy, and this is more of a conservative old order style. Um, and I'm not jealous of my friends. His is nice, but I also like mine. Mine was more affordable. This one is actually only 2 years old. It was brand new 2 years ago. His is quite a bit older than that, maybe 3 times that age or more. And of course, he had to pay a lot more money than I did for mine, for than I did for mine. So we're always teasing each other about this. So I just thought it would be fun to throw this in here. But this is just an interior view of mine. Definitely not as nice and plush as his, but it's comfortable. The seats are actually covered in crushed velvet, but I have them covered to protect them. As you get, nephews putting all their feet on the seats and spilling candy and drinks on the seat or whatever. So I just like to keep them covered. I got a small rear view window, and this screen here for in the cold weather. We use that screen to keep the wind off us. We can just see over the top. And the lines go through this little slot here. So that way you can kind of still steer and your hands stay pretty warm underneath here. And usually we cover up with a blanket under there as well. And it's bearable. This is the front seat. Like I said, you have blankets in there to cover up with as well. It's very basic, but it's very well made, very sturdy, and if I take care of it, it would last a lifetime. And this is a rear view. Instead of a fancy door like his, I just have a simple curtain that rolls up. And the door would definitely be nice because it's a little bit of a pain to roll it up. Usually in the summertime, we'll just leave it up all summer and then close it in the winter. And this little door flips down here so you can haul like long boards or something. You can slide them all the way up to the front seat that way. Or if it's like raining and you don't want to take the wagon, you could take this seat out here, and that comes all the way out, and then you could set something in the back to haul it home if you wanted to, or anything. You can turn it into a utility vehicle if you wanted to. The seat is actually kind of a pain because it sits on the track, and if it's not just right, it's hard to get it in there. But it does come out fairly easy. And yeah, that's it. I don't have turn signals or headlights like he does, but one of these vehicles here new costs about $4,000, so huge difference. A little bit more affordable, and it's just plain simple, down to earth. It gets the job done, and so that's why we decided to use this style. It's a little bit cheaper, and it's just more simple and basic, and we appreciate it. It doesn't have to be a caddy. It looks nice.